Uncle Bill has done it again. Tom Brady's out. Patriots play the Cardinals. Everybody thinks they're going to lose. They win anyway. We're here to recap week 1 of the NFL season. Kyle Gaffner and James Worthington are both here. I'm Adrian Fedke. And before we get started, breaking news on the Bitter Birds front. We have launched a website. That is correct. thebitterbirds.com. So not only are we going to be bringing you videos, we're also going to be bringing you articles as well. So make sure you go to it right now, thebitterbirds.com. James is going to be having some fantasy rankings he's going to be doing each week. He did a fantastic job for week 1. We're going to have all of our picks up there. Obviously, these recaps that we're going to do. So a lot of new material that you can find at the new bitterbirds.com. And we're going to try something new here. We're going to step away from the Philadelphia sports action for a bit. Every Tuesday, we're going to recap the weeks in the NFL. And today, obviously, we're going to recap week 1. So let's start with Kyle and James. How's it going, guys?
Couldn't be better. Football is back. I'm stoked. We got week 1 in the books. Just ready to watch some football. We had a lot of great games this week.
Yeah, I got to agree. This week was awesome. It's just nice football's back, and I'm excited to be on here doing these recap videos. Hopefully we get some more close games next week.
Dude, it was a great week. There was a lot of good games this week. Jags and Packers came down to the wire. The Colts and Lions, those shenanigans at the end. Raiders and Saints, high-scoring contest. So a lot of close finishes, close games. Even Jets and Bengals was pretty good as well. And we're here to start with the Patriots and Cardinals, because this is incredible to me that you're out with Gronk and Brady, and you still win on the road in Glendale, and you win the fucking game. How does Bill do it?
He's a genius. He just knows what to do. He knows the type of players to get in his system, and then it's coaching. It's all up to coaching. I think that's why he's one of the greatest coaches out there, bar none the cheating aspects and everything that he's been accused of doing. But guys, it's a Hall of Fame coach. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, listen, that team went in there ready to play. They weren't scared at all without Brady and Gronk. They went in there. I think did they score the opening touchdown, or was it Arizona?
I believe they scored the opening touchdown.
Yeah. So they got up right away, and they continued it. Obviously, they were in a position to lose at the end, but Arizona missed that kick, and Garoppolo did enough to get them the victory. Shocked me. Absolutely shocking.
I was stunned myself.
Dude, it's crazy, man, because Kyle runs this pool against the spread pool, and I was the only one that picked the Patriots. It was 6 points, the line, which was insane. And I just remember looking at that line, I'm like, the fact that it's only 6 points is why I'm picking the Patriots, because it seemed like the line should have been a lot more with the injury to Gronk and Brady being suspended. Like, how in the world are they going to go and beat Arizona? And here they are. So, this reminds me back in 2008 when Brady was lost for the season in week 1 against Kansas City, ACL tear. And guess what? Bill and the Pats, they still go 11-5 with Matt Castle anyway. So it really, even without Brady, this team can still win games. And when I said they were going to make when they were going to go 14-2 this year, I wasn't fucking around. I wasn't kidding. Even with Brady missing 4 games. I mean, this team it's incredible. The defense is a lot better than you think. They got a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the ball now.
It's a well-oiled machine out there. And it helps a young quarterback to run up to the line that James had touched on before, pregame, that it's easy to, like you were saying, James, he was up there, he was cool as a cucumber, he was doing quick passes, they were running lines like almost a hurry-up offense. And that defense is going to help out a lot to shut down a very high-powered offense out there in Arizona.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, it seemed like the Patriots ran a little bit quicker up-tempo offense this week than they do with Tom Brady at quarterback. Maybe it's because, like you said, Garoppolo just gets up there, makes his read, doesn't give the defense time to adjust. Brady, on the other hand, has time to go up and make some dummy calls and dissect the defense and figure out what coverage they're in. So just that little bit of difference might have thrown Arizona off, and it definitely helped Garoppolo.
All right, let's move on to the 3 rookie quarterbacks. Now one was holding a clipboard. You had Carson Wentz throwing not only dimes but quarters. and you had Dak Prescott, Mr. Conservative, against the Giants. So this is interesting because out of the three guys, Wentz was supposed to be the one to be the furthest behind. He was coming from the FCS. No way could he adjust to the speed of the game. And what does he do? 22 of 37, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable. I don't care if it was the Browns. It was still a very impressive performance. Dak Prescott, basically kind of what I expected. I don't even think he threw a ball past 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. And then you had Jared Goff out there. We'll get to him in a second. But what did you guys think of Wentz's debut, and what did you guys think of Dak?
You want to go ahead, James? You take the first.
All right. Well, it's just with Dak Prescott, something I've noticed with Cowboys backups in the past is they really don't call the offense that aggressively, not nearly as much as they do with Romo. At some point, you got to look yourselves in the mirror and take some shots downfield. You're not going to win games with that defense just dinking and dumping the ball, especially if they can't get the running game going. So, I mean, I thought that Dak showed some good ability, showed some playmaking ability and some athleticism, but I'd like to see them open up the playbook more with him. Wentz, he absolutely looked great to me. I've been on the Wentz wagon, as everyone's saying, since we traded up to pick him. He actually did run an NFL system in college. He was really familiar with NFL terminology, and he came in the league. He just basically needed to adjust to the speed of the game and be coached up, and it looked like he was ready to go. The Eagles coaches knew he was ready, and I'm just excited to see what the rest of the year brings for him.
I love what I seen from Wentz. Some of those passes were just impeccable. He dropped it right on a dime. I mean, I'm talking minuscule windows you're talking here. For a rookie quarterback for his first game, yeah, it was the Browns, but it was still impressive. I liked what I saw out of Dak. He made some reads. He didn't really throw the ball. He threw the ball a couple times downfield to Dez, but they were being ultra-conservative. I want to see more out of the run game. Ezekiel, you get excited to see these two young guys come out, and none of them. I was more impressed with Dak than I was with Zeke, especially with that offensive line they have there. And they were in the red zone 3 out of 4 times, and they stuck with field goals. That's why the whole reason they lost that game. I mean, you could have done rollouts. They did. I mean, the guy's got some legs, so I would have liked to seen that from Dallas.
I didn't think Dallas's offensive line really played that well in terms of how good they usually are. Now, here's the thing with Prescott. Because here's what I was talking about during the preseason, and not to read into what he was doing too much, because in the preseason, what do you see? You see vanilla defenses. You're not going to see any exotic blitzes. You're not going to see these coverage disguises. And now that we're here, you got to remember what kind of system he came from. He was at Mississippi State under Dan Mullen. That's a team that runs the ball a lot. And even in the passing game, you're not going to have a lot of progressions to go through. So the game is completely different than what he saw at Mississippi State. And now that it's not the preseason anymore, you kind of have to be a little bit conservative to start. Sure, you'd like to see more shots down the field, but that's basically what's going to go on with Dak. I like his ability a lot. I think he, when you make the comparison and say that he can be Russell Wilson, I don't think it's far-fetched. But to think that he's going to be Russell Wilson this year, that ain't going to happen. It's going to take like a year or two for that. So that's my point about Dak. And about Wentz, this is something I've been saying all summer. And, I've been saying, I don't think he's as far from being ready as people think. And it's because of what James said. The offense that he was under at North Dakota State, all the different formations, it was a West Coast system. It was a pro-style system already. He was audibling at the line of scrimmage. His mind is ready for the speed of the game. So from a physical perspective, sure, maybe not, but his mind is caught up, and his mind is a lot faster than these other rookie quarterbacks. That's for sure. So, I want to make that point on Wentz. And now let's get to Goff. Because this seems stupid to me. And you're going to trot out Case Keenum out there. Because this Rams offense last night was fucking awful. The Rams are fucking awful. They're a joke. Why aren't you playing Goff? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't care how bad he is. You got to see what you got. What do you guys?
Especially if you gave up all the bounty of picks that you gave up to get him. I mean, the guy's not even dressing. You have to see what you have out of this guy. I mean, this is your future. This is why you gave up all those picks to come get this kid, that you loved him that much. I mean, yeah, he has the athletic ability. He's got a decent arm, but we had talked about it during our draft previews. I wasn't a fan of Goff coming out. I would have rather had Wentz if I was L.A. than Jared Goff, but it's a disgrace, especially after the way they played. Case Keenum is not an NFL quarterback. So this is all or it for Jeff Fisher. I mean, is this the way you want to go out? I don't know what the hell was going on out there.
Yeah, I definitely got to agree. I liked Wentz coming out of the draft better than Goff too. But he's probably the most talented quarterback on their roster. They have a defense that can keep them in games. And last night it looked pretty bad, but in my opinion, the offense just was not staying on the field. They weren't getting any drives started. Also, I think San Francisco's putting 8-9 guys in the box at some points. So Gurley couldn't get started at all, at least with Goff. If they want to make it easier for him so he doesn't have to make reads at the line of scrimmage, spread the offense out in like 3, 4, 5 wide receiver sets. Keep Gurley in there in running situations with like a one-back set, kind of like Pittsburgh was doing last night. And then just give him 1 or 2 reads to make the decision. Or if not, don't force anything. And that might give them a better chance to get Gurley going in the running game.
I mean, it's Case Keenum is your number one. It's not like we're talking about like, I don't know, say Phillip Rivers or something. It's Case Keenum. There's really not a drop off. Like what? It doesn't make fucking sense to not put Jared Goff out there. It really doesn't make sense. I don't care if he's behind. He learns while he plays. He learns where the sun sets while he plays. You live and you learn. Case Keenum. I just made my case for Goff. How about that? Right.
We'll see how long it takes for them before they, it depends if they go on 4 or on 5. I think we might be seeing Goff sooner than maybe later.
I want to see him now.
Agreed.
Case.
Yeah.
They have a defense, like James said. They can win games. That defensive line, are you kidding me? With Aaron Donald, Robert Quinn leading the way?
Looked pretty bad last night.
It did look bad last night, but I mean that whole
thing it looked bad, yeah. But like normally they're not going to look that bad.
No.
And then the second half they got a little bit better. But like San Francisco, like just watching Blaine Gabbert take off and run like 10 times.
Oh, they didn't adjust. He literally just kept doing that. He made his reads to the left, made it to the right, and then ran right up the gut. It was like, put a spy on this scrub. He's crap. You know what he's going to do. I mean, look at those passes he overthrown. You don't have to be scared of this guy's arm. If he was to have anything, it's going to be his legs. Ugh.
Yeah, now people are starting to say Chip Kelly's an offensive genius again. I don't want to hear that. They're going to get stomped next week.
Yeah, they are. Let them keep chirping.
Hey, I'm the one that said I didn't want Chip Kelly to go. I'll say this. Can you imagine Carson Wentz in Chip Kelly's system? Just saying. Oh, I got to say about that. All right, let's move on to another topic. All right, let's talk about Seattle. This was really cool. Some people are hating this. I don't know how you can hate it. But obviously Sunday was 9/11. And you had the story during the week that the Seahawks were talking about, kneeling, the entire team kneeling for the national anthem. And for them to have their arms linked, unified as one while the national anthem was going on, that's the way to send a statement. That's the way to do it. Colin Kaepernick, Brandon Marshall, you guys should take some notes. This is how you make a statement. So I really like that side of unification there from the Seahawks. Thumbs up.
I was with that. It was a class act.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Doesn't take anything away from the flag, but it also shows that they do stand for unity and they want to unify the problems in this country. So hopefully more teams can do stuff like that.
And you can still stand up for what you believe in, because some of the guys were holding up their fists. So, okay, you have your ability to believe, but still believe in what the anthem and the flag represent too. So I completely respect the guys that did that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been staying away from this topic. This isn't a topic I really want to discuss because this is a football show. This is a sports show. I'm here to entertain. And this isn't entertainment. This is a completely different animal and a completely different issue that, quite frankly, you guys don't care what my opinion is of it anyway. So that's why I don't really want to talk about it. But this this sign of unification, I wanted to say something because I thought it was that fucking cool. So that's that. All right, moving on. Let's see. Let's talk about some of these other games this week. Anything surprise you? Because, I like that the Jaguars kind of hung around with the Packers. I thought that was a pretty good sign. And some of these other games were okay, too. The Vikings, you win behind Sean Hill. You do what you were expected to do against Tennessee. Let's see. The Bengals game was pretty good there against the Jets. And, I explained earlier, too, the Raiders and Saints. So what were some of the games that caught your eye this week? Which one was the one that really did it?
Definitely, I think the Jaguars game stood out to me because I think everybody expected them to get stomped, and they hung in there with one of the best quarterbacks to play the game out there. So they hung in, they were matching punch for punch out there, and it came down to the last play for that game. So I was impressed by Blake Bortles and the defense out there, so kudos to them.
Yeah, actually, I thought the Jags would hang tough with Green Bay, especially just Jordy getting back out there and the Jags being improved. Something that caught my eye, I actually I know the Bills are a pretty popular pick this week, but I like that the Ravens, it was only 13-7. It's a pretty boring game, but the Ravens hung in with a good team. One of the stats I like to bring up about them always is they lost 9 games last year by 1 possession or less, which 8 points or less. So I think they're a little bit better last year than what they were on paper, so I expect them to be better. And they showed it on Sunday. They showed that they could hang with a good, almost playoff team last year.
Yeah, they set a franchise record last year with most players set on IR, and that included Joe Flacco. So, obviously, a lot of injuries Baltimore had to deal with last year. And the Jaguars, I actually picked the Jaguars to win that game outright, but it didn't happen. But at least I got the win against the spread. The game I have, I don't really know. There's nothing that really stood out per se, but there was some good games this week. I'll say this. I'll go with Denver because I kept avoiding Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders in fantasy football drafts because of Trevor Siemian. I think I fucked up. Not that Trevor Siemian is any good or anything, but he held his own. And the question I got to ask you guys, how much of a drop-off is it really from Peyton Manning to Trevor Siemian, considering how bad Peyton Manning was last year?
I don't think very much because they kind of are quote-unquote game managers at this point. Although he had some arid throws, that the ability and how good his wide receivers are made him look a little bit better because he had a couple high passes, but he was very poised. He was cool as a cucumber, too. I was very impressed by Trevor Siemian, especially, that line's nothing special out there. But he really was tearing up a very good defense for the Panthers.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a drop-off in terms of the production and ball safety, but I think that they're going to run a more Gary Kubiak-style offense this year now that Peyton's presence isn't looming as much per se. But I like what I saw out of Siemian. If he can manage the game and move the ball effectively, run the play action well, because I think that running game's going to be good, you just let your defense win games. That's a historical defense. So they did that Thursday night, and they surprised me. I actually thought Carolina would win and get some revenge, but, that defense is a hell of a defense.
Incredible.
I only have Denver going like 9-7 this year, but that's even more than a lot of people expect. A lot of people are just down on this team for whatever reason. It's basically the same team, except there's some guys missing on defense. Malik Jackson and who's the other one? Trevathan left. But from Peyton Manning to Trevor Siemian, thinking about how bad Peyton Manning was last year, physically there maybe not be that much of a drop off.
It's probably because, though, how iconic Peyton is, and you got this 7th-round pick coming in.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, maybe from like a mental perspective because he can kind of make the calls at the line of scrimmage and all that. But Siemian was better than I expected, and it wasn't that he was like great. He was just okay. Like Kyle said, like some of the throws were erratic at times, and they have Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas, and that's what good receivers do. They make your quarterback look good. And, and what I'm talking about is like some deep comeback routes where throw was a little bit high, but they were able to come down with the catch. So, I thought Denver was the team that I don't want to say they surprised me, but like the way that Simeon played was encouraging. I'll use the word encouraging. So yeah, maybe that team might be okay this year. And I'm not a Paxton Lynch guy, so we'll see how that kind of plays itself out in Denver. All right, let's see. Players that caught your eye this week. Who's a name that you thought played really well?
Well, can we give it up for D'Angelo Williams, 33 years old and dropping 143 yards? That was impressive for the old man out there, toting the rock. Le'Veon Bell, who? You don't even need him. So he impressed me. Tajay Sharp had a really good game for Tennessee. I believe I'm saying his name right.
I've been hyping him up since the draft. I feel so smart.
He had a very good game. I was impressed with what he had. Trying to think who else had a really good week. You guys think anybody that was really impressive?
I'll say Will Fuller, Houston Texans, man. I've been hyping him up since he came out of the draft. Obviously, he was a first-round pick, I believe, or maybe second.
Yeah, he was.
But my buddy who plays D3 football, he's done a bunch of football camps with the guy. He said he's an absolute speedster. He's got the size, and she looked real good on Sunday. And then same team, Lamar Miller, he's getting a bunch of carries. First time in his career he's going to be a feature back. I think he's in for a huge season.
He's awesome. I think he's a very underrated back. I think that was a huge signing that really didn't get a lot of guff because nobody really knows who Lamar Miller is. I completely agree with you there, James.
All right, I'll throw a name out there. Maybe not a recognizable name. Maybe he is. I don't know. But a guy that you should be getting in fantasy circles everywhere. I really like what I saw out of Eli Rogers last night.
Yes.
Steelers receiver. You want to talk about quick out of his breaks after the catch. This guy is a speed demon. And considering they don't really have much besides Antonio Brown, this guy might be putting up some fantasy numbers this year. And he's the guy that kind of caught my eye last night. So, I've kept an eye on him a little bit during the preseason. But yesterday, I liked what I saw. And I probably shouldn't have said I'm going to pluck him up off the waiver wire because now James is going to go type his ass in and get him before me.
Definitely. It's a PPR league, too. I might have already put a claim in.
Anything else? Let's see. Players that disappointed you.
On
that area.
Well, I expected T.J. Yeldon to have a bigger game with Chris Ivory being out, but he really didn't impress. Oh, another old running back, Matt Forte had a really good game.
Yeah, he did.
For a guy that's kind of lost in the wind. I think he had 97 yards rushing. I think like 30 or 40. He's always good for a couple catches too, so he was pretty impressive. Let's see. Devontae Freeman, I thought. Even though I think it was a fluke last year, didn't really impress. He didn't really do anything. Actually, a lot of the Falcons did. How about that catch from Devontae Adams? That was insane. That was one of the best catches I've ever seen. Wow. I don't know how he caught that. I'm trying to think of a rookie. Like Tyler Boyd disappointed. I thought he could have had a better game with not that many weapons, but A.J. Green had a monster game, of course.
I got a couple. Matt Jones, Washington Redskins, they were behind early, but, they like to establish the running game at least. They were fairly balanced last year. I know they attempted more passes than runs, but it was pretty close. So he only had 24 yards on 7 carries.
He was barely out there.
Yeah, and then they had Thompson out there a lot because of the passing situations. And then Brandon Marshall, only 3 catches. I think he had 7 or 8 targets. He had a couple drops too. So I think he was a little rusty with him and Fitz not having to work together all summer.
All right, the only name I'll drop out there, I'll go with Ezekiel Elliott. I thought he'd do a lot better. Now I know the Giants, they spent a lot of money during the offseason. Olivier Vernon. You got Damon Harrison there in the middle now to help out on that defensive line. But I expected more out of Mr. Ezekiel Elliott. I thought he'd come in and be a stud right away, kind of make a statement in his first game. But, it was just
They were right on top of him. They were running to the ball. They were good. Doug Free was getting eaten alive by Olivier Vernon, and then Smith got hurt, so they had to bring a backup in there. So that really didn't help the situation. But Sterling Sterling Shepard looked really good. Talk about another rookie that looked pretty impressive. He outdid Odell Beckham. I mean, that kid looked like crisp route running. I mean, he was pretty impressive too. So, I mean, they might have a couple weapons out there to go with Odell Beckham. Victor Cruz looked like he came back a little bit healthy. It looks like that calf's finally okay. But Zeke was very underwhelming. I expected so much more. I'm on top of you with that. That was very surprising.
Definitely. Adrian mentioned it earlier. Dallas's O-line didn't play like they normally play. Don't know if it was a little week one rust, but Zeke's going to have better than that if he wants to not be an average back, like he said. He said, I I wasn't brought here to be average. Well, yeah, he was pretty average Sunday. And then who's one other – let me think. I just had someone in my mind, but I lost him. I had one more guy I wanted to see more out of, but I forgot, so forget about it.
And Carlos Hyde had a good week too.
Yeah.
For such a putrid offensive line out there and going against one of the best defensive line, I thought he was going to get stuffed, but he had a better week than Adrian Peterson and Todd Gurley combined. It's like, wow.
Chip Kelly's an offensive genius.
Oh, God, here we go.
Maybe offensive genius, but not the rest of football.
Yeah, they just don't let him be a GM. That's all. Yeah. All right. So yeah, here's what I'll say about Chip though with that game last night, because when he got fired, I was like, yeah, like sure, like there's still a lot of things he needs to learn. And one of the encouraging things I saw yesterday is, in Philly it was always fast, and defenses are catching up to that. So now you gotta throw some curveballs. You gotta throw some change ups. You gotta slow it down a little bit. Change up the tempos, and that's something that I saw from Chip last night. So it's my argument for Chip is it's only his third year being an NFL coach. Well, now it's his fourth year, and the fact that he could get what he got out of in Philadelphia out of the quarterbacks he had, like just atrociousness everywhere, and what he did, I thought it was pretty impressive. And he still has a winning record here in Philadelphia, so it's not like he left with a losing record. So, I don't know. I think people just overblew how bad he was. I didn't think he was that bad. As a GM, sure, he might have ruined the team, but as a coach, I think he's a pretty good coach. And, I know 99% of you guys are going to disagree with me. That's fine. That's why we all have our own opinions. So, yeah, I won't ramble on on Chip Kelly enough
if
anymore.
you would have gotten rid of Billy Davis, maybe some things could have been different too, because that guy he had absolutely no clue what he was doing.
Oh, that was a huge problem. But what we're finding out, though, is he always hides a fucking trash defensive coordinator, because he hired the Browns one last year. What's his name? Jim O'Neill? So clearly he doesn't know how to build a staff, because imagine Chip Kelly and Jim Schwartz doing work together. Oh, my goodness.
I think his ego's too big for that to happen.
That's his problem. Yeah, he needs to overcome his fucking ego problem.
Because then you have two guys clashing together, because I think Jim Schwartz has a pretty big personality himself. Go ahead, James. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you, and he does a huge ego, and I think the reason he wanted to be GM around here is because they got rid of his guy, his talent evaluator guy. I think his name's Tom Gamble.
Yep.
He's back out in San Francisco with Chip Kelly. But you're right, Jim Schwartz is a huge personality, which is what our defensive coordinator needs to have. This city gets behind an aggressive defense like what was shown on Sunday.
Put out RG3 for the rest of the season. Gotta love it.
8 weeks at least. I think he might be done, to be honest, though. He's not going to come back.
Nah.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so back to, like, the Tom basically what happened with Tom Gamble was they fired him, and the reason why he wanted to be GM is because he didn't think Howie knew a lick about football and his talent evaluation. And honestly, that still remains to be seen, even though he's had all these great trades and maneuvering the cap really well. This offseason has highlighted his strengths, and now the next couple of years he's going to have to build that team around Carson Wentz. So we'll see if he can do that. So kind of hold off on your judgment on him right now, because a lot of people are sucking his dick. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, they're fucking putting peanut butter on that shit and licking it up. It's ridiculous right now. Like how 3 months can just change everyone's opinion on Howie Roseman. It's disgusting. It really is. But All right, so let's move on to the last thing before final thoughts, I guess. We'll do it now. All right. Do you guys have power rankings kind of thought out? Like maybe even a top 3? This is something we're going to do every week, but because we thought about it late, we're not going to really do it this week. But do you have like maybe a team or 2, maybe 3 teams that you think is the best in the NFL right now?
I kind of have one off the top of my head, but James, you?
I mean, if I had to go top 3, I'd go number 1, New England, just after beating one of the most talented teams in football on the road without Brady, like we talked about. 2, I got to put Pittsburgh up there. That offense might be historical this year. And 3, just because they're the defending champs, I don't expect as much out of them. But the Broncos, man, with that defense, you can't count them out till they're out. They did win it last year.
I'll have to agree with you. I agree with definitely New England and the Steelers. The AFC, I mean, doesn't have as much talent, but I still say the Cardinals are still up there, even though they had that rough game. I still think they're one of the best teams out in the NFL. I think Minnesota kind of drops after what we've seen, even though Sean Hill was there. I mean, if they didn't get those 2 defensive picks, they kind of fell. But Green Bay, too.
Yeah, Green Bay, I forgot, that's a good one. They might be a little bit better than Denver for sure.
That defense is young. They're flying around the ball. They got great secondary, and they're building up on that defensive line, and obviously Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
my number 1 would definitely be New England. I mean, the fact that they're already the best team in football, at least in my opinion, and they can win without Brady like that on the road against Arizona. That'll be my number 1 team. Number 2, I'll go with Green Bay. I think that was, even though like Jacksonville kind of kept it somewhat tight, I thought that was an impressive win by the Packers. And I'll go Steelers, number 3, just because Seattle didn't really look that great. Arizona, whatever. Carolina, whatever. So I'll go with those 3. So
it's hard to judge after week 1 too, because everybody's still getting back into the speed of football and stuff. So, but still, some of those teams look really good.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing all the previews though, so like I'm like all caught up. But yeah, so like the last month I've been doing all those 32 previews for Philly Influencer. So like I've got somewhat of a gauge of where things should be and shit. Like I know who's really bad. I know who's pretty good. I know the Browns are real bad.
Worst team of football.
Them are the Rams. After what we saw out of freaking St. Louis.
Oh my God, are the Rams and Browns playing each other? Or are they both going 0-16?
I don't know about that. I don't think the Rams are going to go 0-16.
No,
but
it's not. No.
Cleveland definitely is going to go 0-16.
Cleveland might. Oh, Cleveland. Oh boy. Oh boy. Wentz is not a top 20 quarterback.
Idiots. I think they might be pegging for Deshaun Watson, though. I think that's
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand the logic, actually, because they're going for Deshaun Watson. Because back when the draft was kind of going around, like, nobody really knew how good Wentz was going to be. No one really knew. He rose up the charts so quickly. Like, that right there kind of shows maybe some red flags. Like, guys just aren't supposed to go up the chart that quickly, and he did. So there's that going on. But, yeah, I mean, they're playing for Deshaun Watson. They already know they're going to be a real bad team. And even with the Eagles pick, who knows? Like, if they get 2 top 10 picks and they're not drafting number 1 overall, they can maybe even work out a trade with an abundance of picks that they can get Deshaun Watson. Who knows? But I think that's what they're gunning for sure. So
they usually screw up their first-round picks anyway, so it doesn't
I gotta just go with Watson because you can't really fuck that one up.
True.
Yeah, I bet Chip Kelly hopes they're a little better because I think he'd want the Browns to draft after them. I bet he wants Watson. Imagine him in San Francisco in that system, man. That'd be scary.
That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, offensive genius.
Quote.
I'm gonna be a heel on this show. I'm just gonna root for Chip Kelly the whole season.
Oh man. Oh no. Can't back that up.
Hey man, I don't want to see him get Watson. So as long as the Browns are worse.
Yeah, we'll see what San Francisco might be able to win like 6 games. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I got him like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I had them going 3-13. So
Their defense
clearly
didn't look bad last night. It looked pretty solid.
Exactly.
It's hard to tell though because it's the Rams. Because like you guys were saying, they just stacked the box. Like they just knew Case wasn't going to beat him. So
Yeah, it's true. You have no other weapon to stop.
all right, let's get to final thoughts and let's get out of here.
Will Wentz have a repeat or a better game next, playing Chicago? Even though they're not as – I think they're better than the Browns. I think they have young building blocks on the defense. So will he impress as much as he did against Cleveland? That is what I'm excited to see. Is he going to make those small throw windows like he did against Cleveland? Because I think they've got worse corners out there than they do in Cleveland.
Me, I guess I want to see what if Zeke can bounce back with in an interdivision game on the road against Washington. We'll see what Prescott's got. As an Eagles fan, I'm interested in that just because, obviously I'm always interested in the divisional foes. And, yeah, can Wentz keep the momentum going? And how long is it going to be till we see Jared Goff? I like watching young quarterbacks play, so put him in, Jeff Fisher.
Oh, Jeffrey. What an idiot. Idiot. Stupid idiot.
I don't even know if he was even behind drafting Goff. It might not even been his decision. That might have been Koenig out there to take Goff. Probably forced him to take.
Whatever the case is, he's an idiot. So I'm just gonna keep saying it. Idiot. Okay. All right. Now to kind of answer your question there, Kyle. We'll see what the Bears can do defensively. I do think they have a better defense than they did last year because they added a couple guys. They added Jarrell Freeman, really, really underrated middle linebacker. They have some guys. I mean, I'm kidding. Like Leonard Floyd's still young, so I don't really know what you're going to get out of him. But Pernell McPhee is a pretty good run stuffer. We'll see about Wentz. I think they'll be all right. Who's their cornerbacks? You got Fuller and you got
Fuller.
Who's your other corner over there?
Is he still out there or no?
Who's that?
Is Tillman still out there? Or did he?
No, he retired.
He retired. Yeah, I know he's an old guy.
I don't know who the fuck the other sort.
They've got a good safety in Amos. I can't think of their other corner though.
Yeah, I got nothing. That probably means he's not any good.
Tracy Porter.
Oh God, yeah.
Actually, yeah, he had a good year last year. So we'll see how he does. Like I think they got him late on waivers, and he played pretty well for them. So all right, that should be interesting. Going up against the Bears. Because
you got that young pass rusher. You got Eddie Goldman in the middle. He's pretty good.
Yeah. So it's like you take a step up in competition, but there's still a lot of competition that's better. So it's like the next step in the grading process. I should be fun. And you're not going to play with Ertz, so let's see how we can overcome the lack of options. Because now just be Jordan Matthews.
Yeah, Jordan Matthews. Because I think Burton's hurt, I believe. So
Burton's going to play.
Is he?
Burton missed the game because he was out with a hamstring injury, but he's going to play.
Okay. Well, they got Brent Selleck. He's still pretty solid.
Yeah. So. All right.
Our defensive line's going to eat them up. I'm telling you that. Watch. Bears have a bad offensive line, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's real bad. They did sign Josh Sitton, but I don't think that's really going to matter. So, Josh Sitton and Kyle Long, they're pretty good.
They've got two guards.
They're tackles. The tackles are going to get eaten alive. So, God, who are their tackles? Bobby Massey and is it Charles Leno? Is Charles Leno their left tackle?
I don't even know who their left tackle is.
Well, whoever it is,
Charles Leno is correct, according to our lad.
Yeah. There you go. So, it's doing all these previews, man.
It's nice to know those names on the top of your head.
Yeah. Well, I'm a loser too, so I watch too much football. But yeah, all right, we're gonna end the show right now. I have no idea how long this went, but it turned out pretty good. I like this opening show. So each week we'll be bringing you this every Tuesday between 7 and 8 p.m. And next week we'll do top 5 power rankings to start the show. So we'll do that right away, and then we'll just kind of see how it goes and see how it flows. And more Chip Kelly love will be definitely upcoming. So for Kyle Gaffner and James Worthington, I'm Adrian Fedke. See you later.